Admiral, radar shows that we have liberals approaching at 3 o'clock, and libertarians at 9 o'clock, and conservatives at 6 o'clock. They're coming from every angle, every viewpoint. Oh, it's Political Radar with your hosts, Rhonda and Elliot.
Hey, all you political junkies, welcome to Political Radar, the best 30 minutes of unscripted, uncensored political talk you will hear all day. Episode 15, and we have County Supervisor Tom Sieber with us today. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, sure. Thanks for having me.
So, pools.
Yes. Vote yes.
Okay, let's get the pool thing out of the way.
All right.
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm kind of tired of the whole pool thing, which maybe that's the plan. Maybe you all hope to beat me down.
Oh, I think it's the opposite. I think the city council has decided that they wanted to beat the Colburn pool supporters down to the point that they just give up and stop coming in. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'll go really quickly if that's all right, but I'll just give you a little bit of background on where I come from on this pool thing. My daughter's a swimmer, so I've been involved with the swim club since for about 3 years now. And I wasn't involved at all in saving Colburn Pool or Friends of Colburn Park. I started getting involved once the pool was saved. The city council voted to save it, and they were going to put money into the pool. Then
$4.5 million.
$4.5 million, exactly. Yep,
to the penny
for a 50-meter pool. They're just like they got there now. So they came in. They changed the plan. And they wanted to build the exact same pool that they have at the Rush Aquatic Center 2 miles away. To me, that didn't make any sense at all. If you're going to build this pool, you got to do it right. You got to put in a 50-meter pool. The 50-meter pool will be used by swim clubs. It'll be used by swim teams. That pool, I dropped my daughter off there this morning at 6 o'clock. 5:45, we got to the pool. She swims from 6 until 8. It's 56 degrees this morning. Her and about 100 kids in there swimming and training for these practices. If we put a 25-yard pool, they're not there. If you put in a 50-meter pool that's capable of holding competitions with a deep start end, that will bring in additional revenue from the swim clubs. I know Elliot's been skeptical of the numbers, but say it's even $100,000 per meter brings into the Green Bay economy. If you spend an extra $1.5 million on that, I mean, there's a payback on that pool to the economy. There's also a payback from people actually using the pool. Right now, the Howard Swamico Club uses it. The Ashwaubenon Club uses it. Pulaski. There's 5 clubs in Brown County that use that pool right now, the Green Bay Y. If it's a 25-yard pool, everybody's going to use their indoor pools. Nobody needs that 50-meter pool, so you won't have that rental income generated.
So are you a 50-meter pool or bust person?
Well, I mean, the neighbors really want a pool there. And I mean, I guess it depends on what perspective you're coming from, 50-meter pool or bust. I'd like to see a 50-meter pool in Green Bay. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think building it at Colburn Pool makes the most sense.
What if Tundra does it? Then what?
If Tundra Lodge does not build a 50-meter pool? If they do build a 50-meter pool, I would argue that there might be enough pool time between the 5 clubs to draw on some other clubs that we'd be able to fill 2 50-meter pools.
No, I haven't heard that yet. That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Color me skeptical. So yeah, and I won't go through my whole tirade about that. But I think they can build 50 meters for $4.5 million.
Yes.
It might not be as nice as everybody wants, but I think we agreed to that. That can be done, and we can be done talking about it. Yeah,
a 50-meter pool is $1.5 to $2 million for an outdoor 50-meter pool. You got a $4.5 million budget. The building complex that they're attaching to it, the price tag on that is $1.5 million. So we're up to $3.5 million in the high end for a nice building and a pool. So that leaves you $1 million in extras. But the city council has decided to take a different route on how they were going to approach building this pool and how they were going to puzzle this together. I thought building it from the ground up with the 50-meter pool, that includes a zero entry, which is what the neighbors want as well. And then you just build it up from there. You put the building on the top of the 50-meter pool, then you put in the water slides or the rock walls or whatever most people want in there. You put that in, whatever can be programmed best for the city to bring the most amount of people to that pool. You add that on, you still at your $4.5 million price tag.
So what do you think is going to happen? Do you believe that the votes are there for Colburn, or do you think the votes are there for the Tundra Lodge doing the pool?
Well,
if the proposal comes forward as requested, and it is an Olympic-sized pool, able to accommodate exactly what Colburn is saying they're going to do. What do you think? Have you talked to people? Where do you think the votes are on that?
Yeah, I think the votes are there, especially Tundra Lodge says they're out. They voted to potentially send them another letter asking if they'd reconsider their decision. So we'll see what Tundra Lodge says, but right now there is no Tundra Lodge option. Right now it's Colburn Park option, and I've talked to enough alder people that I think it'll pass at a 50-meter pool right now.
Okay, but the Tundra Lodge is out, but the city is asking them to come back.
The RDA is asking them to come back, which is different.
Which is still the city,
council.
though.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
essentially.
I don't think it hurts to have different options on the table. To have more options on. I mean, maybe the pool comes back at $8 million and the city council says, forget it. We're going with a smaller pool there with this, that, and the Tundra Lodge builds it. At that point, I think it makes a lot of sense to make sure that Tundra Lodge is still on the table. But if the bids come back and you can get a 50-meter pool for, say, $5 million, a completely public facility, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that.
4.5. Well, I mean, so the city council is being told they need to stick to their obligations, and they committed to $4.5 million.
They also committed to a 50-meter pool. They also fundraised $1 million out of private funds for a 50-meter pool.
$4.5 million is the thing that was discussed. If they go a penny over that, there's going to be some serious backlash on that.
Well, it'll be interesting because there's going to be backlash the other way. I mean, welcome to the world of politics. Because if they don't build the 50-meter pool for that's what they showed the plans. And that's what they
promised. And you got to get the plans, and you got to get your things, and you got to know that you have to have a buffer because it's going to take some time to get it approved. Mm-hmm. Welcome to socialism.
Right.
So when are the bids coming back? Like, because I know that they had talked about this summer that they would probably see them coming back. Do you have an idea when that might be?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, initially we were told that it was going to take 4 to 6 months to get the engineering together. And talking to engineers, they were all scratching their heads saying, why is this taking so long?
So do you believe that the city council will wait for that versus, let's say, Tundra Lodge comes back and, essentially they could come back next week with a proposal and they want to vote on it. Do you believe that the council members will wait for that bid to come back?
I think so, but I've a bad habit of being wrong on things. But I believe they'll wait.
Okay. Do you believe that Donald Trump is going to build a wall around the pool?
Oh,
and ask the city council to pay for it?
Maybe they'll join Scott Walker's wall with Canada.
That's how you do a segue.
Really? Because I thought we were going to go to Breastgate.
We're not. We're going to give him his shot on the president stuff first, because otherwise he's going to run out of time.
Okay.
Bam.
That's right.
Boom.
President, Donald Trump's done. Goose is cooked. Get rid of him. Export him. Get him the hell out of here.
Vote for Gary Johnson. Okay, on to Breastgate.
Or Hillary.
Okay. So we have a situation that's happening in the county government.
Yep.
And we're calling it Breastgate because why not, right?
You're the only one calling it that.
Well, I'm going to start calling it that because it's kind of developed into that. Talk about that.
Well, I don't know what I can talk about because some of it I put into communication.
You can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. As long as
you have a microphone and they do not.
Well, yeah, without getting myself into trouble. We had an incident, which you've probably read about in the local newspaper, regarding Corporation Counsel's office, and there are some issues with that. My specific problem with what's been going on is, as a county supervisor, we're responsible for policy. So I'm looking at where our policy went wrong. What policies do we have in place? What do we need to do about it? So one of the policies we obviously have is once we have a closed session, you're not supposed to talk about it. And what happened was, in this case and also in another incident earlier this year or late last year, we had closed session material end up all over the front page of the newspaper. As a county supervisor, we take oaths of office to uphold uphold the Constitution and uphold the rules, and the rules are not to talk outside of closed session. So I put in a communication to ask the district attorney's office to investigate and try and find out who leaked the rules, and also to come forward and inform us what, if any, punishments are out there for leaking that sort of material.
Do you have an idea who that might be?
You can always speculate. I was told last night by 5 people who they know exactly who it was, but I don't want to go and speculate on who it was or who it wasn't.
So do you believe that it won't be hard to figure that out?
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what tools are available to the district attorney. If they can, I'm happy to turn over my phone and they can check my emails, check my texts, check my phone calls.
So what happens after that? Let's say they figure out who it is. What happens?
That's the question. I've been told there's no punishment right now for breaking closed session. We're told not to do it. That's one of the rules. That's one of the first things they teach you is closed session means don't talk about this outside of closed session. But they never did explain what the punishment was. And in talking with a few people, they also have no idea what the punishment is. So Monday night at the executive committee meeting, should be the 11th, July 11th. We'll find out.
I think that's part of the controversy, though, right? Is that some of this stuff shouldn't be closed session.
Yeah, I mean, and there's an open session right after the closed session on all of our agendas. We have an open session followed by a closed session followed by an open session. So we've got 2 opportunities to talk about it. One, whether or not we should go into closed session or not. And once we come out of closed session, we can talk about it again, whether or not we think any material in there. We can talk to the attorneys. We usually have an attorney in the closed session with us to make sure we're following the rules that we should be following at any point in time. If we say this isn't closed session or we come out of closed session and the majority of the board members say that should not have been closed session material, then I believe we're free to discuss it out in open session at that point in time. But none of that was done at either of the two closed sessions where information was leaked within the last year. So
the way that it all went down, do you believe that was the right thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into too many specifics, I think I think the action that the county board took was correct and proper at right now. Once everything is resolved and everything is done, I think obviously that becomes open at that time. It should be a public record at that time, but we got to wait till everything comes to a conclusion before we start discussing it. Potential for lawsuits and other things that if we flap our gums, we could get in more trouble than we are now. So,
do you think this helps or hurts the morale with county employees?
The leaking of information or the the leaking, it definitely hurts. I've heard from a few county employees that say they don't, they want to come to work. They want to do their job. They don't want to, be subject to public records. Working for the government, obviously you are, but, any private employer, if they went and worked in the private sector, they wouldn't be subject to that. So I've heard from a number of employees that they'd prefer to keep as much stuff, private and confidential as possible, but always, as my job is to make sure that we're considerate of the public's information and right to know exactly what's going on,
as well as the public's tax contribution.
Right. Yep. Yeah. We always got to be cognizant of where the dollars are going and make sure the public's getting as much information as humanly possible, but trying to protect the employees to the extent that we can without letting their name get out or be subject to harassment or ridicule or whatever it might be.
Can I ask you, what do you feel about term limits for county employees and city employees as well? But just in general.
Employees or politicians?
I'm sorry, for like politicians, like term limits for supervisors. Yeah.
I've admittedly gone back and forth on term limits. Right now, I'm of the mindset that the electorate is there to elect you or not elect you. Especially local office, you're up every 2 years. If you're a mayor or county executive, you're up every 4 years. Some of the village trustee seats are 3 years, but in general, you got to face the voters fairly frequently, and if you're not doing your job, you should be tossed.
But 20% of people didn't finish the ballot last time, so that's really sad. So there's a lot of the public that's not even interested in general. So having said that, how does that really? Who is exactly picking these people? Because so many people aren't even bothering to finish.
Yeah, right. I would agree 100%. I wish I could tell everybody where they come into the ballot box. I think a lot of it is they don't know who their local elected officials are. I think that's a huge part of it.
Maybe they do, and they realize that nothing ever changes, so they're just over it. They're done.
Well, that's a larger problem that I don't think term limits can solve. I think that's a problem that the public should be addressing. That shows like this, I think, help out a great deal. Nobody knows half their aldermen or supervisors are. So if you're able to, you're stumbling across a podcast that was shared and somebody gets a chance to listen to you, and maybe they'll get the political bug and maybe want to run for office. I've spent a number of years trying to encourage people to run to trying to promote it. And I think what you guys are doing with the show has been a great help to local
term
politics.
Limits would help that though, right?
Term limits would help get people in and out of office.
Well, it would help inspire people to run. If I'm a newcomer to politics and I'm going up against somebody that's been in office for 30 years,
sure,
that's intimidating.
Sure.
So I feel like that it's nobody needs to be in office for 30 years.
Right.
When you talked about the public sector or the public sector versus the private sector.
Right.
Nobody has the same job for 30 years anymore. So I think that there's a reasonable limit that could be put into place that doesn't interfere with democracy.
Sure.
And we have, even just in Brown County, I think we have a lot more people that are qualified for that office than 20.
Well, and you start to feel exceptional, and then you don't open your packet of information, no names necessary. You're not doing the work you're supposed to. Your intention has changed. You're there for totally different reasons than you were when you first started. I'm in complete favor. I want someone to take that ball and run with it as soon as possible. City, county, whoever, somebody, please, term limits, anybody, somebody.
Well, it's crazy. We have term limits for president. Why can't we have term limits all the way down?
Yeah.
But you did make an interesting point because, and maybe you didn't intend that, but You said term
I
limits.
try to be as uninteresting as possible.
I think this is actually interesting because the one argument I've heard against term limits, not the democracy angle where you can vote people out, but the fact that then the employees become they become the power center,
Sure.
because they have all the knowledge and they don't get replaced every 8 years,
Right.
And so the politicians come in and they're like, well, I guess it works, so just
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. So I don't have a solution for that, but is that what you meant by that question?
Well, I mean, that obviously would also happen and come into play, but I would argue that that's probably happening right now as well. I mean, as a county supervisor, I'm still learning what my roles and responsibilities and duties really are and what my authority is.
That was going to be my comeback if you tried to challenge me.
Sure. Yeah, I'm still right. I mean, I'm still learning too. So I mean, there's a lot of times we're told, that there's a lot of stuff that's brought forward to us and say vote on this. But as a county supervisor now, I'm learning that there's a lot more authority. I learned this probably year 3. It took a little while to get used to that, where you'd be able to get in there and say, this is the agenda I want to push. This is the stuff I want to get done, and this is the policy, because the county board is the policy making body and the budgetary body. So we decide on policy. So this is a policy I think we should have, and I'm going to push the policy. With the board we have now, I don't get it successful very often, but we try it anyway.
I have a question about committees. So at the city level, they recently voted. I don't believe it goes into effect until the next round of alder people come through. Who decides the committees? Who makes the committees up? Who does that?
Yeah, the county's much different than the city.
Is it the county board that does that, or is it the executive that does that?
The county board chairman. The county government is run very similar to the state government, where we have our county executive is very much like the governor, and then the county board is very much like the Senate and the Assembly combined into one body.
So the county executive, which would be Troy Streckenbach, he's the one who decides who is on all the committees.
That's our county board chairman, which is Pat Moynihan. The county board,
he does
our first meeting, the county board gets together. There's 26 of us throughout the Brown County, and we elect a chairman and a vice chairman, and the chairman decides who gets what committee. Pat Moynihan from Ashwaubenon is our current chairman, and he tries very hard to get rank your committees 1 through 3 you want to be on. He usually does it by seniority. If you've been on the board a while and you put 1, you get your committee. If you put 2, this term and the 3 terms I've been on, everybody's got their first or second choice.
Is he also the same person that does, let's say someone's leaving? Like, I'm trying to remember the name.
We've got an opening right now in Bellevue for Tom Gator's seat.
Right. Okay. So he's leaving, which, how did he not know that? Sorry. That's really interesting. How do you not know that? Right. I'm moving. I ran for office, but anyway, that's another situation. So what do you feel is going to happen there? Because Alex Galt ran against Tom Caters. I think he would be amazing in that position. Yeah. So where is this right now?
Yeah, it's in Chairman Moynihan's hands, which is so he'll take resumes. It's still open. If you go to Brown County website, Brown County, Wisconsin, you Google it, you can find the website. It's a convoluted address that needs to be changed, but and you click on there. If you live in District 15, which is North Alloway and a little bit of Bellevue, you can submit a resume, and Chairman Moynihan will interview everybody who submits a resume, and then he will select who he thinks is best for the county.
So why
board.
wouldn't this be a no-brainer? Alex ran. Alex was out there. Alex he talked to people. He's known. He's had conversations with people in that area. Why wouldn't he just be basically, let's take him in, let's get him in a room, let's figure it out? Why wouldn't it be him?
Well, there's a process you got to follow. You
Why?
got to interview everybody, and I like the way Pat does it, where he interviews everybody, brings the resumes. I've met Alex a few times. He's a great guy. I would absolutely very much enjoy having Alex on the county board with us. But I mean, I think going through the process and making sure everybody's voice is heard, so you don't feel anybody's been left out or whatever the right word is. Where you submit a resume and you didn't get called back, you didn't get interviewed.
No, I know what the word is.
So.
It's Galtgate.
Hashtag.
And that's nonsense. So we have somebody in office, probably, like Rhonda said, knew that was not going to be able to fulfill the term, and just as an obstructionist measure, follows through on the election and then bolts.
It's really suspicious. I'm sorry.
Like that, I'm not all conspiracy theory, but that the timing's really bad. If this happened, 6 months or a year from now, but
it's a little strange. We had when I first got elected in 2012, we had a supervisor in De Pere, Chris Schuler. He was on the board, I believe, 3 months into the term before he resigned. So
but
it's
he went back
before.
to TV though. I mean,
right? He went. It was a career change, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's not right too, but then this process is a little bit suspect. Why isn't there a special election or
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, that's something we could, I don't know if it's just written in our ordinance. Obviously, any ordinance can be changed, though. As long as it's not state statute, we can change it.
I had no
hold an
idea
election,
that this
but-
is how that was done.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm relatively plugged in,
Yep.
and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So how do we know that this person will not be biased?
It very well could be biased.
Right.
You never know. Yeah, right. I mean,
So
it
that
could
process is flawed.
Well, the appointment has to be approved by the county board. So if enough of us think that, if he appoints his brother or, son or something
But
to the board,
again,
enough of us
without
could
term
vote it out.
limits, we have this, we have this back room of old white men. making
Brotherhood.
decisions.
It's a brotherhood.
Yeah, it's not cool. I mean,
And Corey. Brotherhood and Corey.
And Corey, we've got Kathy LaFave and Joan Bresky. We've got 3 women out of 26 on the board right now.
well, I think we should go with whoever they vote for.
The 3 women? I'd go for that
Okay,
in a
it's
heartbeat.
decided.
Yeah. I let them decide. Committee of 3.
So when can we expect a decision on that?
The county board, Pat Moynihan will have his decision to us for the July county board meeting, which is the third Wednesday at City Hall at 7 p.m. Every third Wednesday of the month we have our
So
county board meetings.
he'll give you his decision and then you'll vote on it right there?
Yep.
Okay.
We will, yeah. Without seeing any of the other resumes or anybody else on there, we'll have it all there in front of us. So
Okay, wait, what? So
we don't
wait a
see the
minute.
resumes or names either.
So
We
you
just-
only know what he says.
Well, we get to see the resume of the person he appoints.
That's it.
That's it. I imagine if I went and asked him for the rest of the resumes, he would give them.
Well, we really sure everyone does that. We really hope they do.
So when there's an election, we all get to see the resumes.
Right.
Just saying, like,
Yeah. I'm sure they're all public record. Everybody. I mean, I'm sure it's public record. Whoever submits a resume, those are all public records.
the thing about
Wouldn't be a
public
problem to get
records,
those.
though, is you're saying you're sure it is. I'm apt to agree with you, but hell if I know where to find it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you email our county board office, you call me or email me, and I'll be happy to get
Are
that.
they more responsive than the Aldo Leopold principle?
Oh my God, please say yes.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about the Aldo Leopold principle, so I can't comment on that.
Oh, that was quite a dodge.
I don't know. I mean, I wish I could. I mean, I think they are responsive. I hope county government's responsive. If it's not, I mean, that's where we have supervisors.
your
You let us
job,
know.
right?
You let us know, and we'll try and take care of that for you.
Well,
What we can
I
for you.
think we need to have things need to be more transparent, not less.
Right.
And that is, to me, that is omnipartisan, bipartisan. Like
Right.
it has nothing to do with political parties. If there's transparency, people make informed decisions, or they can choose to make uninformed decisions, but the information needs to be public.
How long has he
Right.
been? How long
Right.
has he
Right.
been on the county board?
Who?
Patrick Moynihan.
He had 2 terms. He had 1 term, then he moved, and he came back on. So I think this current term, he's maybe been on 8 years previous. He's probably been on maybe another, I don't know, 8, 10 years, maybe
Wow.
18 total.
Okay,
So yeah, he's been around a little while.
that's a long time.
Well, that's not that long. I mean, we have people in Congress that have been there 4 or 5 decades. That's crazy.
It's long enough. I think you
Yeah.
get 6 to 8 years and then you move on.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for more than that. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just started getting comfortable after about 3 years, I would say. It takes a term to kind of learn what you're doing.
yeah, nobody
And
should
then-
be comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to know to learn your responsibility and roles. I mean, we had an attorney come in from the Wisconsin Counties Association and talked with the Planning Development Transportation Committee, which I'm on, about roles and responsibilities as it relates to our highway commissioner and the highway committee, which by statute we're the highway committee and the highway commissioner. There's different state statutes that regulate all that stuff. And a number of supervisors have been on board a very long time, knew nothing about
But see,
what we were
again,
supposed to be doing.
Having term limits.
Or how about this?
enforces-
How about this? Let's say this. What do you think about a person who serves on city council and county board?
Yeah,
What do you
I
think
don't-
about that?
I don't agree with that at all. I think that's clearly a conflict. There's a number of issues where it's either good for the city of Green Bay or it's good for Brown County. I mean, as a Brown County supervisor that represents the city of Green Bay, I have to be cognizant of what happens with Green Bay, and try and vote in the best interests of Brown County first, and then Green Bay second. What's best for the county comes first. What's best for the city comes second.
When's somebody
Counties-
going to actually bring that up? When's someone going to bring a vote to that? Has there ever been a vote on that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to the same, to the same discussion as term limits. Where I mean, if you don't, my argument has always been, you're paying for 2 different opinions. You should get 2 different opinions. If your alderman and your county board person are the same person, you're paying for 2 opinions and you're getting 1 opinion.
Does Andy Nicholson actually open his packet for the county board before a meeting? Because he sure as hell doesn't do it for a city meeting.
How
Just curious.
much time do we have left?
We
A
got
minute.
as much as you want. You have something to say about that?
I'm just curious.
I think some of the supervisors who are
I mean, I'm assuming
Not-
he's so busy at the county level that he doesn't have time to look at the city
the
information.
city stuff. I think I think some of the supervisors that are not 100% engaged are fairly well known to the people who follow it.
Well said.
Okay, but we need to do a better job of getting the word out on that too.
Right. And I think you've seen that. I mean, this election we had the most local candidates we've ever seen that I can ever remember seeing.
Not enough.
The election before that, we had more than the previous election. So I mean, I think we're building, and I think that's a positive thing. And I think we mentioned the podcast a little bit earlier, but I think something like this is a testament to more people getting involved and caring. And I think hopefully it'll go back to what Rhonda was talking about earlier, where hopefully people will start marking the ballot down a little bit lower. And that's not just in local races; that's in presidential races too. The state assembly people are woefully undervoted compared to the presidential, or this year might potentially the Senate ticket might be the top ticket. I see a lot of people not voting for Donald Trump, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I don't know. Did you want to get into the asphalt plan at all, or you got enough time for that?
Let's do it.
You wanna get into it?
So what is this asphalt?
You want to know about
plan?
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was slightly controversial with the road builders. The county had never, a long time ago, it produced its own asphalt, and they closed that process down. Our last public works director came forward saying we'd save a bunch of money if we produced our own asphalt versus buying it from the private sector. And it was kind of a colleague of mine on the county board said he shouldn't be bringing this forward. We heard about it in October. We had to vote on it for a November budget meeting. We heard about it at our October, so it was a very short notice, and a lot of us didn't like that, and we were basically said, well, either this or come up with $1 million because we're saving $1 million for this asphalt plant. And our previous public works director was an accountant. He had come through with some other projects that were saving us a bunch of money, so I just went with it. So we put in the asphalt plant. Road builders obviously were not happy or pleased about that because their member in the Brown County area lost our business because we were making our own asphalt. So they took a bunch of numbers that the first year production where the Brown County only produced a month's worth of asphalt, and they took the numbers and said it cost $65 a ton, and they're selling it for $40 a ton, and the county, you're wasting all the taxpayers' money, and you guys don't know what you're doing. So we said, well, let's wait till we run it for a full year. So 2015 was the first year that we ran the asphalt plant for an entire year. And we had Schenck come in and do an independent external audit of all our numbers to make sure they had everything. We opened up a meeting where the road builders and anybody who had any questions that they wanted to make sure that all the costs associated with the asphalt plant were included in the audit, make sure that Schenck had all those numbers. So we opened up the meeting. Anybody came. Schenck took all the information down, made sure it all checked out. So we just got the report last night at our Planning Development Transportation meeting. And they came back and said that I think it was $38.23 a ton we were producing it at, which is a savings of about $2.50 or $3 per ton. So that's saving the taxpayers quite a bit. They're also talking about the productivity, where if we went and bought it from the private company, that our trucks would be in line with everybody else's trucks, and we'd have to sit there and wait, and we wouldn't be able to get the asphalt we need it. Producing it ourselves, we got the public works crew comes in at 6 o'clock, drive right up, get their loads, and bring it out. When they need another load, they come. It's a lot more productive. We can get a lot more loads out.
Why don't you think this is getting coverage? It's kind of a big deal.
Who's going to cover it? TV's not going to cover it. They're not going to talk about it. It's too complex for a 30-minute or 30-second sound bite. The newspaper could put an article on it. Doug Schneider was not there last night, but he'd been mentioning it previously, mostly because of the controversial angle where the road builders came in and said we weren't doing this.
That's interesting to me because roads are a huge topic of conversation in this area. The condition of them, the money spent, not spent. I feel like that's something that should definitely get some airtime.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're able to share that with us.
Yeah, I agree. I hope so. And I mean, there's some changes too that are coming related to that. I talked a little bit earlier about a lawyer that came in and talked with the Planning Development Transportation Committee about state statute and the rules. And we found out that the state statute weren't following. Nobody in Public Works knew. None of the county board supervisors knew. So the lawyer came in and kind of helped us out with that. So there's going to be some changes to the way roads are funded, and that'll be at the July Planning Development Transportation Committee meeting, the fourth Monday of July. And we'll have a big public meeting with all the municipalities come forward to talk about the ordinance changes that we're going to be making about that. So
you're going to have an audit next year too?
I think we're probably done with the audits. We always do an internal audit. So the internal audit will be done. Hopefully they'll follow the same guidelines that Schenck outlined. The internal audit that we did this year showed a cost of $37.50, and when Schenck did it, it was $38 and I believe 23 cents. So it was about $1, a little less than $1 that they added into the audit. So hopefully they'll just add those costs back in as we go forward and just use the same.
I'm all about saving money,
right?
But I think the criticism there would be that it's all fine that things are cheaper now, but what about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? What about when there's a new director of public works? What about when we just have an automatic increase because we're government?
Well, yeah, I mean I think the argument with the county side is we can always produce it at cost, and there's not a lot of competition in the area. There's not a lot of people who make asphalt in the area. So we can always make asphalt at cost. So
but
should be cheaper.
What guarantee do the taxpayers have that cost is in fact cost? That's what I mean. And that's the criticism of it, right? So, what's to keep them from just increasing it just a little bit every year? And everybody's like, well, a little bit, that's fine. We're not even going to bother talking about it.
Yeah, no, I think I think you might be off a little bit on that because it's going to be. I mean, the county's producing the asphalt, and we're just we're just keeping track of all the costs associated with the asphalt plant. So whatever the costs are with the asphalt plant, we put it in. That's the cost per ton. So there's no profit. There's no increase. I mean, it's heavily dependent on the oil market. So when oil goes up, the price of asphalt goes up. But that's across the board, whether private or public sector is producing it. The price will go up. So
not if they're locked in on a contract.
Right. If you can't get locked in a contract for the for the oil and stuff. Right.
And labor costs go up.
Right. Yep.
They don't necessarily for private industry, right?
Well, I would hope so. I'm hoping we can get a minimum wage hike, and that'll increase everybody's wages across the board. So,
wow, way to drop that bomb right at the end. Yeah. So I guess I hope we can have you back sometime, and you can talk about how you're holding the asphalt plant accountable.
Sure.
To their cost structure.
Right.
Because otherwise, private businesses are going to be like, we can totally do it cheaper. And there's really no way for us to prove otherwise.
Right. Yeah, there'll be an audit every year on it, I'm sure. I mean, internal audit, we probably won't do an external audit every year, but internal audit to close the books at the end of the year. We always verify that the budgets came, what categories went over, what categories went under, and I'm sure the budget of the asphalt plant or the cost of the asphalt will always be included in the yearly budget.
Audits are up on the county website?
I highly doubt it. Our website is really bad.
Yeah, we got to change that.
We do, yeah. I mean, it's the report is buried within the minutes of the Planning Development and Transportation Committee. Yeah, I don't know. How big do you want government? I'd be happy to add an IT person to update our website, but we've got to take another position probably.
You know what? I think we could have volunteers do it.
You think so?
Yep.
Yeah, we could do
I'll head it up.
Yeah, a hackathon or something, right? What do you call those?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll call it whatever you
want to call it. Just open up the data, put it up there. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So episode 15 was breasts and asphalt.
Okay, so on that note, thank you, Tom, for coming on in and talking about the county and all this other stuff. And you can go to politicalradar.com/15 for episode number 15. And if people would like to get in touch with you, Tom, how can they do that?
I've got a Facebook page, County Supervisor Tom Sieber. I also, all my contact information is on the county board website. If you just go to Brown County, Wisconsin, and click on County Supervisors, my phone number, address, email, all that good stuff is right there.
Okay, excellent. And we are also on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, Political Radar Community. Lots of cool stuff in there. Nick said that he had to mute his notifications because there was so much activity in there. So thanks, everybody, for participating in that. And that's all I got.
If you enjoyed this episode of Political Radar, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Even better, submit a show review to iTunes or Stitcher. To listen to other episodes of Political Radar, please visit politicalradar.com/episodes. To support our podcast, please visit our sponsors who make the show possible. You can do this by visiting politicalradar.com/sponsors.
Thanks for listening to Political Radar. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. To stay up to date, visit politicalradar.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.
This episode of Political Radar is brought to you by ReleaseWire. ReleaseWire is a powerful media engagement service connecting businesses to journalists and bloggers. If you need to get the word out about your business, ReleaseWire is an effective and affordable way to reach journalists and bloggers who are truly interested. And we have a special offer for you today. Submit your first on-demand press release with ReleaseWire and save 25% by entering the discount code Political Radar. That's Political Radar. ReleaseWire, from release to results.
Political Radar is a proud member of the Newsmakers Podcast Network, an ever-growing network of podcasts covering a wide range of topics. Check them out at npcn.tv.